Welcome back to JEE Blunders, where you learn the don'ts first. So, today we'll be starting a new topic gravitation. And this is such a powerful law of nature that without this law, we wouldn't be launching rockets and sending satellites and, making people go to Mars and whatnot. So, a moment of silence as a tribute to those who discovered the law for us. Okay, let's begin. Find the gravitational force between a uniform rod of mass m, length L, and a point object of mass m separated by a distance r. Okay, so the mass of the rod is m. We have a point object of mass m and they're separated by a distance r. The length of the rod is L. Okay, so there are two methods to do this clearly. One is the center of mass of the rod lies over here because it's a uniform rod. So we can assume that all of the mass is concentrated at this point, correct? All of the mass is concentrated over there. So if we assume that that is the case, the force between the two objects by Newton's law of gravitation would be G m1, which is the mass of this object, m2, so Gm m squared by r squared, where r is the distance of separation between the two objects. Right? This is one way, and this is a really quick way, but let's just make sure we are correct. Let's actually do the integration to make sure. Right? Okay, so the reason we have to do integration, or the reason we can do integration, is that there are different parts of the rod experience a different force due to this mass. So let's just consider one of those tiny elements over here at a distance x away from the center, and let's say it has a tiny length dx. Right? So what would be the force experienced by this tiny element due to this mass? So that is going to be in this direction, right? So the small force experienced is going to be G m1, which is the mass of the point mass, and the mass of this element. So if the rod is uniform, we can say that the mass of the element is proportional to its length. So we can say that the mass of the tiny element is going to be m by L into dx. So this is the mass of the tiny element dm. So G m1 m2 divided by r squared. R squared is nothing but this is a right triangle, right? So r squared is nothing but r squared plus x squared. So this is the force in this direction. But by symmetry, we know that there is an element that's the exact mirror image of this element right here, and that's going to experience a force in this direction. It's just the mirror image of that with respect to this line. So we know that the horizontal components of these two elements are going to cancel out, and by horizontal I mean let's call this x and y. So the x components of those forces are going to cancel out, and only the y components are going to add up, and this is true for each and every element on the rod, right? So basically all I have to do is sum up the y components of the forces acting on each element of this rod, because all of the x components are going to get cancelled out. Okay, so the y component would be, to get the y component, I will multiply df by the sine of the angle it makes here, right? The sine of the angle is r divided by root of r squared plus x squared. Hope the diagram wasn't too messy. And there you go, you have set up the integral. So this is df. To get f, I would be integrating this over the length of the rod. So gm squared r by L r squared plus x squared to the power of 3 by 2 dx. and x varies from minus L by 2 to L by 2. And that's it. We have set up the integral. So the rest of this is just mathematics. So I encourage you to pause the video right here and do the integration for yourself. Okay, hope you have completed the integration. And are you getting f equals 4gm squared by L root of 4r squared plus L squared? I really have to improve my handwriting. So let us know whether this is the answer you're getting. Okay. Wait, didn't we get gm squared by r squared initially? Have we made a mistake somewhere? Because clearly both methods should give us the same answer, right? Now I'm actually confused because maybe it has something to do with the inverse square nature of the force. Or maybe it's because we have a rod and not a perfect sphere or something. Okay, I need your help to crack this code because I am out of any ideas. And actually, I want to share two other questions that have been lingering in my mind. Since we may not always be able to get the answer using the center of mass, how will your approach change if we have the same question as above, but instead of a point mass we have a spherical object of radius s? So how is your answer going to change? I mean, can we just use the center of mass, or do we have to do any complex integration? And the same question for probably one of the classic problems, the force between the earth and the moon. Do we have to do any complex integration, or can we just use the center of masses? Anyway, see you soon.